Well, next to a bill which would stop offshore drilling for fossil fuels here, it's due to be examined by an Oireachtas committee this week. The bill has the support of environmental groups who say it would make Ireland a leader in climate action. But those involved in offshore drilling have said it won't decrease emissions and could threaten Ireland's security of supply. Well, joining me now to debate the issue is the Solidarity People Before Profit TD Brid Smith, who sponsored this bill, and David Horgan, the Managing Director of Petrel Resources, an oil and gas exploration company with a number of licences to operate off the coast of Ireland. Thank you both for joining us. Brid, about 90% of Ireland's primary energy mix is fossil fuels, so why would we stop trying to source our own?
Well, first of all, I think we have to start by recognising that the planet is overheating, that the Kyoto and Paris Accords really show this. And I think there might be a debate here with David about it, but I think the science is settled on the fact that human activity is causing the planet to overheat. And if we don't keep temperatures at a level of 2 degrees, if we heat more than 2 degrees, in fact, Paris actually asked us to aim for 1.5 degrees of overheating, but we're hurtling towards that 1.5 already. And if we don't keep it below 2 degrees, the planet is in big trouble. And the main contributor to that is burning fossil fuels. And I think that that's widely recognised across the planet. Now, we already import gas, but we also have gas coming from Kinsale and Corrib. And I think that for us to argue that we need to explore for more, which, by the way, if David found more gas in the morning, it'll be another 20 to 40 years before it's ready to be used, which means that we're being locked in to a carbon-fuelled economy in the future when already, and I'd like to quote somebody who's not exactly a tree-hugging hippie, as David liked to call some of us who campaign about these issues. Mary Robinson has said that we have to go to zero carbon emissions by 2050 to stay below the 2 degrees temperature rise. And that means leaving 2/3 of known carbon fossil fuels in the ground. And that's why this bill is recognising something has to be done now, done decisively, and done with the intention of putting the environment before the profits of companies like David's.
David Horgan, what do you say to that? We won't meet our climate targets if you continue this work.
Well, the Paris objective will not be met for decades under any scenario, and everyone in the industry, and I think all policymakers already know that. If you really care about reducing emissions, you should seek policies that are going to work. What will work is a carbon tax. You should encourage people that reduce emissions, like the frackers. The American frackers have made the greater contribution to reducing emissions in North America than any other renewables or all the renewables projects put together. And they've done it by the profit motive. Fracked gas produces half as much carbon as coal. The American coal industry is rapidly dying. Instead, in Ireland, we banned fracking, forcing ourselves to depend on Russian gas. At least 15% of that gas is expended being shipped from Central Asia. And the alternative, if we want to reduce our dependence on Mr. Putin, the only way to do it is through liquefied natural gas, which emits 2 to 3 times as much carbon. So the immediate and predictable result of Brid's legislation is exactly the opposite of what she intends.
Brid, with the uncertainty about Brexit and the mounting trade wars between the EU and the US, is this not the very time, as David says, that we should be ensuring the security of our supply?
Well, let me just repeat my argument, and that is that the planet is overheating and that the science has rested on knowing that the main contributor to that is the burning of carbon, and fossil fuels are the biggest contributor to it. Now, we live on a planet. We don't just have a sky over Ireland that is limited to Ireland. And to achieve keeping the planet in a place that species, including the human species, can live, we have to keep the temperatures down. The targets are 2 degrees, zero carbon by 2050. That is agreed in the science. And if we are saying that Ireland needs to explore more now, issue more licences, explore it, bring it on shore in 20, 30 years' time, which will bring us up to nearly 2040, we are not making any commitment to dealing with climate change. And the gas and the oil is out there. We already import it, and we do still have Corrib and Kinsale to use up. Now, what my bill, I hope, would force is a wake-up call to say we have to invest in renewables, we have to retrofit homes, and we have to get cars off the road and deal with more funding of public transport.
David Horgan, are renewable sources, are they the answer to security of supply in the longer term?
No, not in Ireland, because we have 10% of our electricity or our energy supply from renewables, but those renewables are intermittent, and they wouldn't exist at all if it wasn't for 100% reliable backup from gas-fired generators. So in a sense, we're not competitors, we're actually complements. If you eliminate the availability of plentiful, reliable gas, you will effectively kill the renewables industry in Ireland. You will not solve the problem. This will not have the result that Brid hopes.
OK, we're running out of time here, but Brid, the uncertainty that this bill will create for the industry, for the people already working in this industry, what do you say to that?
I say that the uncertainty for the entire planet is global warming, and there's nothing secure about a planet that's about to overheat by 2 degrees more than we can tolerate at pre-industrial levels. And so talking about security for our industries is really bonkers when you think that we're living in a very dangerous state, and we really need to wake up and join the other countries like Costa Rica, New Zealand, France, Belize, who have banned the exploration offshore already. We should be part of that movement.
And David Horgan, environmental groups say your industry is dying anyway. We should move away from it. We should move on.
Well, we began as an environmentally friendly industry by substituting whale oil with kerosene. We developed a natural gas industry which has halved carbon emissions. We'll continue to innovate.
OK, well, these issues will be explored in more detail by an Oireachtas committee later this week. But for now, Brid Smith, Solidarity, People Before Profit.